Hey, thanks for watching part 1 of episode 3. Here's part 2.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was like, no.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a hard job. I mean, hard in terms of like you're talking to people at the worst time of their life.
Correct. Yes.
They're having to say goodbye to a loved one and, consoling them. And now they're, in just all this planning. And people say you need to plan ahead for those things and, make arrangements ahead of time. So the people that are there that are still around don't have to worry about those decisions. Correct. I totally get the end of life planning and all that stuff. But that's not strange. But I mean, I wonder what he saw in you to say, hey, this Raquel gal, she can sell. She can sell.
Yeah, like what? That was the greatest part about it. Like, I wasn't pitching anything. Yeah, right? And those things are crazy expensive. Like, I completely in the wrong business. Like, legitly, the money that is spent to do that is incredible. As a matter of fact, I came across an article about a lady who did a research for a year on this might sound morbid, decomposition of your body. What happens to it after you die? She was really into the planning part, and then what happens to people's thinking when it comes to planning those things. Like, what is the future going to hold? Like, there's so many millions of people in this world. They're gonna die and they're gonna bury themselves into the ground. It's gonna be like a tomb. You've put yourself in a locked box. For what reason? That was her, just after doing all this research. It's kind of like this vault, this vault that sits in the ground waiting for what you're not bringing that person back up. You're not,
right. What's
like
the practical reason for being buried?
Correct. And with the way the land is and the way that the people building on top of grounds and the economy, the way it is, like what does the future hold for that? And so she was thinking of alternative ways to be buried, or what are the alternatives in the future that people can consider. And surprisingly enough, there is actually eco-green friendly burial services or burials. It's something called a aquamation, where they put your body, I believe, in liquid, and all it does is solidify into just like cremation and to ashes. And you could, instead of getting burned, because when you, at a degree, of course, when you get cremated, your body is cremated by a high flamed fire. You know what I mean? So that's not eco-friendly. That's not something that a lot of people are ready to do. There are options for you not to even use chemicals. You don't have to use chemicals because people get, embalmed? Because when you get embalmed, that's more chemicals onto your body that's just trying to preserve you. So I was reading her article and I found it pretty interesting. There are actual areas, there's places. I think there's one in Colorado and there's one I know in Arizona where you can actually use your cremations to give back to the earth. You end up getting buried into the ground and they plant a plant on you, the tree. And so your ashes feed the tree.
So, I mean, yeah, I think I've heard of some of those things where your body can be used as compost, so to speak, and like help a tree grow, or I've heard things like that, but I haven't heard of the liquefied, what did you call it? The
aquamation.
Yeah. We took a hard left there on jobs,
I know, right?
But,
like totally informative. Totally informative. That's what I do.
Oh, yeah. No, hey, you're going to learn a lot here on this podcast, not just about us, but other jobs that we don't have.
But we're learning about.
We're semi-experts in little knowledge.
But see, I couldn't sell that. Like, I couldn't sell that.
Sure. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you had that, for sure. I mean, I'm assuming if that's the job you want to apply for and that's the job you're going to do, then yeah. But it seems really tough just talking about that all the time. It would just seem very depressing to me. It would seem very, very depressing.
Yeah.
Rough, just rough for you and everybody else around you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That could be an issue.
So we'll wrap up this podcast in a few minutes, but did you ever, like, was there ever a hotel chain that you ever worked for that you could name, or was there an opportunity that you had that like, oh, wow, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be, or not? This is nothing what I thought it was going to be.
Well, I actually worked for Holiday Inn Branch right when I got out of high school. I worked for my sister-in-law's uncle, and he was supposed to show me the ropes on like different levels of the hotel and start from ground zero. So I ended up being a housekeeper. Oh my God. Housekeepers, I tell you what, I have all the respect for them. So yes, shout out to all the housekeepers out there getting them nasty rooms clean. Even to this day, I try to leave my room very nice and leave a tip because people leave some crazy shit in those rooms. That's a whole nother story later on in life, or in podcasts. But yes. And then I also worked for the Ramada Inn. I worked there and I did bookings for events, and then I worked events. So like weddings, award ceremonies, dinners, luncheons, that sort of thing, which was kind of cool.
Was it kind of what you thought it would be, or was just a brand new experience where you thought, oh, okay, this is kind of what I was hoping it would be?
No, it was what I thought it was going to be. There's just so many limbs to that tree, that, hotel industry. You could go so many different directions. There's reservations, events, housekeeping, maintenance. There's so many different realms of that you can really get into. And it's long term. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's ways you can move around and become executives and that sort of thing. But yeah, it was everything I thought it was going to be. I specifically wanted to do concierge, but I never got around to it. But it's fine. I'm not bitter.
Well, cool. I mean, that's good because I knew after college you bounced around from job to job, but there's also your personal life that was going on as well. So I just never knew. I knew you had I think I knew you had the Ramada job. Did you ever work the front desk, or was it just the bookings?
No, I just did reservations at the Ramada. I did reservations, and then later on I moved up to the accounting department, and I did assist with booking events.
So yeah, I knew you
did tours and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you worked at the Ramada, but that was, I'm not sure how long you were there, but I knew there was a stint there.
Yeah, I was there for a couple years.
So yeah. Well, cool. Cool.
Yeah, and you always wanted to do what you wanted to do in TV all the time?
Yeah, I mean, so I think part of that influence was our older brother, who also worked at a television station when we were younger. So seeing him with the camera around working was something that sort of influenced me. So, which was the reason why I think both of our brothers had picked up cameras, or two of our older brothers, Paul and Carlos. They had both picked up cameras, 35 millimeter, and then a video camera. But seeing them taking photos sort of that's where I got the bug from. And then I went to a junior college where I was the video taper for all the practices and all the games. So I would record all the practices, and then when it was game day, we would shoot the game I would shoot the game video, so they would go look at it after every game. So that led the path toward me getting toward into television, electronic media, which was something that I enjoyed and felt like it was a creative outlet for me as well. But I think that it really took off for me was when I was working for a station in Wichita while I was going to school, and they sent me to Norman, Oklahoma, and there's a workshop there with the NPPA, which is the National Press Photographers Association, and it teaches you to become a better photographer. You sort of learn the rules, and then you are told you can break the rules, so to speak. Maybe it's an oversimplification. Some people would agree with me, some people wouldn't, but that forces you to become a better photographer for sure. And thinking in terms of editing, you start thinking as an editor as well as a photographer and video storytelling and just telling stories visually. And so I think that started my passion for being creative and telling stories with videotape and the stories that I was covering and how to tell them. So yeah, I mean that definitely influenced in my passion for television broadcast and news gathering. But I've done a lot of different types of stories since then. I mean, I was the sports photographer in San Antonio when I worked there, and I got to cover a lot of amazing things. Covered the San Antonio Spurs and the Dallas Cowboys. I got to see a lot of different sporting events, Super Bowls, NBA championships. So that was a real fun time working there. But and then just covering news events. So people say, as a news photographer, what do you shoot? Well, you kind of just shoot everything. You shoot video of car accidents, bank robberies, city council meetings, school boards, court cases, murder trials. You also cover features of kids raising money. You also cover deaths and arsons and fires, and features of kids raising money to go on a trip, or someone broke into a storage unit and stole all their family's belongings, or so everything that you see on the news, a photographer and reporter go cover. You see that you basically, how I like to describe it is that you intersect people's lives at the best time and at the worst time, because sometimes there are these feature stories about Christmas where this family gets presents from an organization who wouldn't normally have a great Christmas, which is a great uplifting story. And there are times where you have to knock on a family's home and ask them, your son or daughter died in a car crash. Can we get a photo of them? And can you talk about your son or daughter? So, I mean, these are things that as journalists, you sort of encounter, and you really, like I said, you see people at their worst and at their best. And I think, and at that, in the time I had worked in San Antonio, that's the time where I learned you can love the people you work with. I mean, it felt like a family. In fact, you spend more time with them than you do with your own family, because it's just this constant beast that you have to feed of, you can't go home until the story's done. So if there's a police standoff, you're there till it's over, or until you're relieved. Or if there's severe weather, you have to follow the storm until you get there and talk to people that were impacted by the storm and get those stories of people who lost everything, or people that saved somebody. So, I mean, there are so many different stories that are out there, good ones and bad ones to tell, that I really found a passion doing that. And so that's where my journey sort of started in that broadcast. I think it was right around that time when I just got into the business of television, of news, broadcast news is what I'd call it, I guess. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been a great ride and great experience, and I really wouldn't trade it in for anything else. I mean, I have done another job during that time and then came back to news. It's just sort of my passion, I guess, but I'm doing sort of less of that now. So at the station that I'm currently at.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the majority of my life, I was a stay-at-home mom, so my career path took a halt. I stopped after I got married. I worked a little bit and then became a mom. And then I did that for full-time mom for good, 15, 18 years. And then I just started working a couple years ago, trying to find my passion back again, or into something that I can give back. So yeah, not bad.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to end right now. So for people joining us on YouTube, thanks. You're learning the journey of our lives, and throughout our lives, I guess, Raquel's journey, my journey. We appreciate you hanging around, clicking, stopping by and watching. If you have, again, I said it earlier, if you have a question for us, leave it in the comments, either on Facebook or here on YouTube, and we'll try to talk about it, address it in later episodes. But for now, I think that'll end it. So we'll say goodbye.
All right. There's no more room in the womb.
and the womb is closed.